Hello, my name is Raymond Karchevsky, and this is coming to you from my home here in Cave Junction, Oregon. The subject for tonight is the awakening. It was previously titled, People of Josephine County. Shall we hold our public officials accountable, or shall we resign ourselves to be slaves? It is in response to statements which were made by James and Terry, a husband and wife team, creators of Oregon Shout. They say simply, hang in there, Mr. Karchevsky. I think you have them on the run, for Nuremberg, too, is coming soon. My response to them is thus: James, Terry, I have no illusions about what I'm doing, and its ultimate outcome, or disposition. I have been dealing with the corruption of bureaucracies and courts, both inside and outside the system, going back to the 1960s, in my days as a police sergeant with the Pacifica, California Police Department. If one is a 14th Amendment citizen, they are subjects of the existing power-wielding de facto corporate government, not the lawful de jure government, which has been hijacked by our present form of government. Therefore, one such 14th Amendment citizen is owned, body and soul, by contract. The courts operate on legal presumption, not law, and thus regard such persons, not to be confused with a man or a woman, as a ward of the state, that is, an infant in the eyes of the law, and thus are incapable of handling their own legal affairs. The prima facie evidence of such lesser legal status of the average American is clearly brought to light when one is represented by an attorney, an officer of the court, whose primary allegiance rests with the court, and secondarily to their paying client. It is all scripted, hypnotic theater for the gullible jury and an ignorant populace. With those who stand sui juris, that is, under their own sovereign jurisdiction, and therefore are operating at full legal capacity, the system's only defense is that of stonewalling, discrediting, denying, misdirecting, and outright libelous campaigns as they control the release of information to the media, which subsequently communicates slanted reports of events concerning the issue brought before the court. The courts do everything, but do not, nor will not, follow their own law, and rebut questions submitted to the courts under oath or affidavit. They violate their own corporate public policies, which masquerade as color of law at every turn. That was the point which is credited with this living, breathing, flesh and blood, sentient natural man, when he was brought forcibly before the bar, yet had the audacity to reject their offer of sentencing of the juristic person, not this living man. The courts were cornered by his questions of whether a fictional court had jurisdiction over any living, breathing, flesh and blood, sentient natural man who does not consent to doing business with the courts, nor are subject to the court's jurisdiction, proven in writing by the courts. That, and 2 combined hunger strikes of 55 days, leaving me near death. The state of Oregon and County of Josephine courts and government were instrumental in the death of my wife. The stress that they unrelentingly applied to both my wife and myself took away my wife and companion of 49 years, and I cannot let that go. I will not let that go. By my actions over the last 9 years, I have shared my experiences with the state of Oregon and Josephine County, with the computer-using sovereign people of Oregon and Josephine County, but unfortunately, they are not paying attention. Tyranny exists only with a slumbering populace who do not want to be disturbed from their illusory dreams. They are addicted to sleeping their lives away, thereby allowing satanic tyranny to be the reality they support with their own consent and monetary support. The root of tyranny always lies with the people's extracted energy via ever-increasing taxes and psychological support. Then ideas are formed and molded into consensual slavery via policies legislated by their own public servants. Hence, the servant becomes the master through lawyerly and bureaucratic trickery, deceit, and intimidation. That is where the average American man or woman lives their lives. Through separation and isolation, the fear which arises in them manifests itself as belief. Belief that they are slaves, not the master of their government servants. It was the understanding of who I was, that as a man of the sovereign people, that the state of Oregon and Josephine County could not overturn, could not make me doubt myself. Hence they collectively went into commercial default when I stood up to them, and they have been on the run ever since. One man took them down to their knees, yet they still control the court records via their lawyerly chicanery and satanically sold out media. As a result, an entire population can and is being controlled in their thoughts and actions, and never realize they have been snookered by the very people in which they have invested their trust. We the people are the true government. Our public servants are just that, servants, hired to carry out the will of the people. Why is that one man understands that and proves that through his court experiences, yet thousands continue to live in fear and trepidation of their public servants? There is no question that I, this living man, have the true law on my side, but the fictional government, the courts and enforcers we have created, have the guns, the handcuffs, and the jails, along with an open license to kill, assault, and infringe upon your unalienable rights and mine. Should the general public grasp the importance of what has been said in this commentary, they would shed their 14th Amendment slave status and return to their God-given status of sovereign men and women. Slaves are debtors whose lives, freedom, and death is owned outright and controlled by their creditor government. In true law, sovereigns are the creditors, and their fictional government takes the position of debtor. How? Clearly, Can it not be seen that government produces nothing of its own? Do they not secure their funding, their sustenance, their reason for existence from the people they have enslaved? The average American, ignorant of his true status, is the source of funding his own destruction. How smart is that? This has gone on long enough. Surely, even the most dull of intellects should have gotten my point by now. You, each of you, who continue to live in fear of your government, have brought it upon yourselves, no other. Mine has been a spiritually fraught experience, unseen and unrecognizable by most. Satanic intimidation has no power in that spiritual realm. For you Christians out there, check out the Bible's illustration of Satan's temptation on the Mount of the sovereign man of his time, Jesus of Nazareth. Satan, the intellect, tempted Jesus to bow down before it, his own intellect, subject to remote control by outside suggestion, with promises of wealth, power, etc. Did not the illusion of intellectual power disintegrate when the holistic consciousness would not sell itself out for such paltry, worldly perks? Tell his dualistic, opposing intellect, Satan, to take a hike. For Jesus was the controller of thoughts, not the controllee, by outer, remote, hypnotically suggestive authorities. Look at the headlines going on in this modern-day society. Each of you are responsible for that, no other. Without your support, such satanic systems cannot continue to wield such tyranny. When are you folks going to wake up and learn the lessons that has eluded you for your entire lifetimes?